Hello, good morning, everybody out there, and welcome to the newspaper review here on Versity TV. My name is Jennifer Mosu, and welcome to the show. It's quite a rainy day here in the city of Lagos in Nigeria, but it's one of those seasons, so we brace the rain no matter what comes. All right, we hit the newspaper stands immediately this morning, bringing you the headlines from some major dailies in the country. From my left, we've got The Nation. Above the masthead, it says federal government targets inflation cut with 50% FAAC savings. Cargoes for evacuation to decongest Lagos ports. And flood storm kills over 5,000 in Libya town. Trade between Nigeria and EU grows to 45 billion euros. All right, those are quite recent happenings. And below the masthead, another header there, Otedola hails Tinubu for resolving UAE visa ban and flight suspension, though that is still in a bit of contention because the United Emirates, Arab Emirate government has not officially said anything about that ban, and the Nigerians are carrying it forward. But we want to see, because it has to be a bilateral agreement, not just a one-way thing. So we hope to get clarification from the UAE side. But if it's done, that's a good one. All right, burial for Akintola Williams next month. Presidency. Others mourn over the icon, the esteemed doyen of accounting, Pa Akintola Williams, passed away at a very ripe age of 104 years. He was quite important in Nigeria's accounting and economic circles. He was a very influential man, especially when it came to policy making and decision taking in that sphere. Big loss to the nation, but he did his bit, and it definitely will resonate with us even as he has passed on. All right, major story now. Crisis rocks Ondo executive over Akeredolu and his deputies feud. Governor fires deputy governor's aides. Ayedatiwa, that's the deputy governor, says I remain loyal. Commissioners, special advisors, all chittery. I think this sacking of a deputy's media team and everything related to a deputy, it has become a precedent since the governor of Edo State, in the person of the Edo governor, Godwin Obaseki, had a fallout, or is still having a kind of fallout with his deputy, Philip Shaibu, and it has escalated in him disbanding his deputy's media team since Akeredolu just came back from Germany after his medical vacation. This has happened in his state, and I guess it might become quite popular with other states' governors if their deputies don't show any form of support, or they feel they have started to become treacherous. But that is not the way it should be. All right, moving on from that story, UBA posts 404 billion naira half-year profits. That's quite a good one. And the First Lady of the country has donated 500 million naira to 500 families in Plateau State. All right, Wike moves to sanitize Abuja land administration. Oh, well, he's been making very good at it since he took that position. And moving on to the Punch now. Above the masthead on page 30, there's a picture of the Comptroller General of Customs, CG Adeniyi, and he says that Nigerians are to start clearing goods from Cotonou ports. Despite serial challenges, Nigerians believe in democracy, oppose authoritarianism. That's on page 3. And on page 15, Tinubu orders probe as 901 persons die in 61 boat accidents. There must be something wrong with the waterway system. People can't just die en masse through that kind of waterway, a transportation means. It leaves much to be desired, and probably there needs to be an overhaul or putting in place better technology for both transportation. All right, the big story now from the Punch. Post-subsidy talks. Labour threatens indefinite strike, gives 1 week ultimatum. Well, on this last week, we saw a bit of Labour finally getting into action, because for a while it seemed Labour is not performing or really has nothing to do when it comes to speaking out for workers' rights, Nigerians' rights. But this time around last week, it kind of surprised people. Though in some states, the compliance was partial, and in other states, it was total lockdown. But this time, they're saying that if the government does not listen and give in to their demands, there will be an indefinite strike exactly 1 week from today. We hope to see what the outcome of that will be. It's not good. Tools will be down, the economy will be shut down, people will suffer. So government, please listen to the pleas of the people. You said the people elected you into office, then why don't you do the things that are people's rights, what they deserve from the government, please. And still, writers from that story, Labour says giving a bag of rice to 12 people and 100 million naira to each lawmaker is insulting. I don't need to explain that. It is quite self-explanatory. And the Labour also says that the government has absconded from the negotiation table as they have failed to meet workers' demands. So, all right, pictures there of a very tragic scene that occurred yesterday in Lagos. And the story there says one dies as truck crashes on Lagos Bridge. That is a bridge in Lagos known as the Otedola Bridge. And there was an accident, it's a fallout of the heavy rains and poor road conditions there. So that truck fell off the bridge. Huge impact, and unfortunately, one person lost his life. Lives are important. In this country, people die, huge numbers of people. Nobody really sees it as anything, but each life does actually matter. Each life actually means a lot. So the government needs to put in place things that will reduce, causes, accidental causes of death. If people should die, let it be out of natural causes, not because something in the system is missing or not put in place. So moving on, still on UBA's earnings on page 18, UBA grows half-year gross earnings to 982 billion naira. It's quite different from the figures given from the nation, but I guess they're making huge profits. And on page 4, a car washer steals customer's vehicle 3 days after employment. People are really getting desperate. This happened in Lagos. You can see that story on page 4. And on page 15, still more tragic stories. Libya flood, Morocco earthquake, death toll hits 6,000. These are all in Africa. What's going on in our country, in our continent? I think Libya is meant to be a desert, arid region. So that flood, it is quite unfortunate, but it's a result of a tropical storm that raised water levels and shook the tectonic plates around that area. More efforts and help are coming in from international bodies to those two countries, but the Libyans say response has been slow and they want their government to do more, because lots of people are still missing. People have been washed away, whole streets have been submerged. It is a disaster zone. So foreign countries, governments, everybody who can help, or organizations, please do the needful for the Libyans and the Moroccans, of course. Now moving on to the Nigerian Tribune. Above the masthead, it's still UBA's profits story making the rounds on page 7. And CVL honors yet another feather in Awolowo Dosunmu's cap. That story is on page 3. And below the masthead, below, NIS cleared 60,000 backlog of passports in 4 days. That's huge. I mean, passport issues, international passports in this country, it's quite cumbersome. You go through the process of, going for your capture, you are paying and everything. At the end of the day, your passport might not just be ready in months, and probably it's not just for a pleasure trip. People travel for business, for medical reasons, for school. So these things need to be fast-tracked so people can get accurate use of them. So the Minister of Interior has said the Nigeria Immigration Service has cleared about 60,000 passports that have been backlogged. But I think there should be more there, but let them just do the necessary, please. Akeredolu sacks Deputy Media's aides on page 26, and the Chief of Army Staff on page 11 says sit-at-home has ended in the Southeast. That's very good. A big boost it will bring back to the Southeastern economy. And the major story on page 11, Lagos-Ibadan cargo rail begins operations. This to me is news. It's a very interesting piece of news this morning because from Lagos, we know what our ports look like. We know what the roads around the ports look like. We know the roads are not even existing anymore. So let me not say the roads around there. The situation there is derelict. The Minister of Works and Housing has said that work will commence there, rehabilitation of roads. We don't know, but for the train service that will carry away cargo, this is a huge relief and welcome to people in Lagos, because we have an influx of containers bearing cargoes, and these things tip over. They cause road accidents, they cause traffic. So I think a lot of volume of traffic is drastically going to reduce in and around Lagos, and the train service is definitely a better way to convey these huge cargoes. So good one. And the rider, of course, says the federal government has inaugurated the first container freight service, and it is to start with about 90 trips in 1 month. Good one, good one. We just hope to see that commence and be sustained. All right, on page 25, gunshots as NURTW factions clash in Abuja. I thought NURT factions were limited to the south west, where they usually have a lot of misunderstanding and altercation and fights. I didn't know this had spread to Abuja. Anyways, on page 6, Nigeria's oil output increased to 1.18 million barrels per day in August, says OPEC. Flood claims over 5,000 in Libya. U.S. House of Reps may move to formally begin Biden's impeachment. That story is on page 28. That's a picture of the accident scene on Otedola Bridge in Lagos yesterday. And on page 5, Labour Party cries out over losses at tribunal. A lot of Labour Party candidates who duly won and were sworn in, a lot of them are being recalled. Their mandates are being taken away from them. So they are saying that this is more than meets the eye. And on page 8, Adebanjo and Adekaola tell Tinubu to give Nigeria a federal constitution. All right, we don't know how that will go. Moving on to the last paper here. This is the New Telegraph. And above the masthead, H123, Nigerians spent 733.92 billion naira on used vehicles import. Preference for accidented units increases. Wow. Nigeria is still way down. We're not even looking at the monetary figures, but when it comes to damaged and second-hand vehicles, Nigeria is still a huge dumping ground, and most of these things are no more compliant with world climatic standards. So I don't know why that urge and drive for second-hand imported vehicles continues. Anyways, H123 UVA records growth in revenue, key metrics as PBT hits 404 billion naira. All right, and below the masthead, Kalu retains Senate seat, defeats PDP Labour Party at tribunal. That's Ojuzo Kalu. And NUPRC 42 firms emerged successful in Flair side bid. U.S. House of Reps to open Biden's impeachment inquiry. And on 9/11, the U.S. vows to defend citizens and its allies against terrorists. Ekeredolu, of course, sacks deputy governor's aides. And on the NURTW clash, Barua says we'll fight imposters with our blood. Some tribunal judgments contravened established jurisprudence. This is coming from the Labour Party, and there's a picture of the chairman, Julius Abure. Remove 7.5% VAT on diesel. NARTO tells the federal government. And the major story, insecurity, stay at home has ended in Southeast. That's coming from the Chief of Army Staff. And says the Chief of Army Staff also says that Boko Haram activities or the terrorists have been curtailed. 200 churches shut down, 23 pastors killed by bandits in Kaduna in 4 years. That's coming from the Christian Association of Nigeria. Kidnappers intercept 2 Benue buses, abduct 10, Army floats Special Forces units. This is quite a disparity from what the class is saying. More needs to be done on security, basically. Most NAS members ignorant of the party's manifestos. That's coming from the PDP as they inaugurate a research institute. On the Libyan floods, 10,000 missing, 2,000 dead as dams burst in Libya. So that's a higher figure from what other papers are saying. Federal government, of course, has inaugurated the first cargo movement on Lagos-Ibadan rail corridor. And OPEC says Nigeria is now the second largest crude oil producer in Africa. Influential people behind illegal mining in Nigeria, a senator says that. And he says that the security challenge around it is due to humongous proceeds therein. Mining on exclusive list, but federal government not serious about it. So I believe if the federal government actually takes a major stake and priority in the mining industry, there might be less, security issues around that sector. And the 60,000 passports backlog cleared within 4 days. And on the human angle, a study says adequate sleep can help fight off diseases. So all of you out there, do get good quality sleep, not cat naps. Rest are good, but have good sleep in your environment. Make sure it's well ventilated, make sure it's smoke-free, make sure you dim your lights, and good sheets and clean sheets and all that, and you get that quality sleep to make you become healthier. All right, that's been the newspapers this morning. I hope you enjoyed the review. And if you did and you think you must have missed out on any major story, please check out our website on www.newsbusterng.com. And you can rewatch this or refer people to watch it on our YouTube channel. Make sure when you go there, you share, subscribe, and like. And check out our other pages on social media, on Twitter and Facebook for latest happening. All right, I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye now.
Audio Jungle.